everybody, and welcome back to History Ignited, the podcast where we uncover the stories behind Billy Joel's song We Didn't Start the Fire. I'm Andrew, joined by Caroline, Amy, and Dave. Today we're talking about something that might sound a little mysterious. The Communist Bloc. Dun dun dun! What was it, and why was it so important? Let's find out.
The Communist Bloc was a group of countries, right? Like a bunch of Lego blocks.
That's right, Caroline. It was a group of nations in Eastern Europe and Asia that followed communism. They were closely tied to the Soviet Union during the Cold War, a time when the world was divided between communist countries and democratic countries like the United States and its allies.
The Cold War wasn't an actual war with fighting. It was more about competition and tension. The Communist Bloc formed after World War II, when the Soviet Union started influencing or controlling countries in Eastern Europe like Poland, East Germany, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia.
Why did those countries become part of the Communist Bloc, though?
Well, during World War II, the Nazis in Germany invaded those countries in Eastern Europe on their way to battle the Soviet army in Russia. When the war changed and the Germans started to lose, the Russian army pushed back through those countries. But then they didn't leave.
After World War II, the Soviet Union wanted to create a buffer zone of friendly countries around its borders to protect itself from future invasions. So they stayed and set up communist governments in these countries. Some joined willingly, but many were forced to follow the Soviet Union's rules.
That doesn't seem really fair.
It wasn't. People in many of these countries didn't like being controlled by the Soviet Union, but the Soviets had a lot of power, and it was hard to fight back.
Why was the Communist Bloc only in Europe, though?
Well, mostly, but not entirely. Countries like China, North Korea, and Cuba were also communist, although they weren't always part of the Soviet-controlled bloc. Still, they worked with the Soviet Union to challenge the United States and its allies during the Cold War.
So, what did the Communist Bloc do during the Cold War?
They worked together to spread communism and support each other. For example, they had an organization called the Warsaw Pact, which was a military alliance like NATO, but for communist countries. They also supported communist movements in other parts of the world.
But eventually the Communist Bloc started to fall apart, right?
That's true. By the 1980s, people in Eastern Europe were tired of being controlled by the Soviet Union. Protests and reforms started to happen, and one by one, countries broke away. In 1991, the Soviet Union itself collapsed, and the Cold War ended.
Is that why it's in the song?
Exactly. The Communist Bloc represents one side of the Cold War, which shaped global politics for decades. Billy Joel included it because it was such a big part of 20th century history.
That's it for today's story. What do you think about the Cold War and the Communist Bloc? Let us know. We might feature your thoughts in a future episode. And remember, if you want a birthday shout-out, send us your name and birthday, too. Yay!
Now, here's a joke to wrap it up. What is an astronaut's favorite button on the keyboard?
I don't know.
What?
What?
A space ball.
Good one, Caroline. Thanks for listening to History Ignited. Don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast with your friends. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.